It's time for a deep dive on University of Portland basketball. The inside story on the Pilots. This is Portland Pilots basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau. Tonight's show is brought to you on 910 ESPN Portland by employee-owned Bi-Mart, by your local Les Schwab Tire Center, the Oregon College Savings Plan, by Buffalo Wild Wings, U.S. Bank, by Safeway, and by Play Smart Health Screenings from Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. Now here's your host, Jason Bro.
Good evening, everyone, and it's an exciting week here on the Bluff. University of Portland going to be hosting Gonzaga in a sold-out game on Thursday here at the Chiles Center. But before we get to talk about that one, we get to look back on a fun weekend of basketball down in Southern California, Coach. And you went down there. We've talked all season about how hard it is to get road wins and go down there facing the third-best team in the conference record-wise, pick up a win, and then finish it off with a sweep. Just what this team needed.
Oh, it was exactly what the team needed. We've been trying to get better along the way and throughout the season, and you talk about focusing on the process, and all of a sudden the losing, a few losses in a row starts weighing heavily on you. And so we definitely needed that, and it was just the main thing is just trying to focus on playing well and going out against a good Pepperdine team and making sure we're playing the right way. And lo and behold, we do that, and all of a sudden we come away with a good win, and then we're able to build momentum on that on Saturday and get another win. So it's great. Now we got a couple good home ones coming up.
Got a question for Coach Reveneau. There's a few ways you can get in touch with us. On Twitter, use hashtag AskCoachRev. Visit PortlandPilots.com/AskCoachRev to submit a question, or give us a call at 503-542-0910. And, Coach, let's go back to Thursday night, another national TV game against Pepperdine, and Pepperdine's been playing really good basketball, especially in conference play. Before we get into kind of how it played out, what was kind of the game plan going into that? What did you think you had to do to get the W?
I felt like, one of the areas, and I think we'll talk about it every time, this team is unique. If we went back to the archive of old radio shows, I always talk about the rebounding because it's such a key statistic. I think for this team it's also it's very important. And I think the rebounding battle was something that I felt like we needed to win. I'm not sure, that it worked out that way like we wanted, but that was something that we got beat up on the boards a little bit, but we wanted to get 50-50. The three things were win the rebounding battle, make 50-50 plays, and then make them shooters. Keep them away from the high percentage stuff. And we did just enough to scrap out a win. They shot 3 for 16 from 3, and that was something we were trying to do. They got way too many offensive boards. First possession, they got 2 or 3, and but some of those possessions we hung in there and they came away with not scoring. So that was good. And the 50-50 plays was something that the coaches had noticed that they were just really good and playing really aggressive and going after loose balls, and we just didn't want them to play harder than us. The game can't mean more to them, and we had to focus on making those loose balls. And I think that's what we did. So I think we did the 2 out of the 3. In terms of 50-50 balls and making them shooters that worked in our favor. They ended up shooting 10 more shots than we did, but we made 2 more field goals. So that was key for us.
Yeah, I mean, good start for the Pilots, jump out to a 10-point lead, and then you knew Pepperdine was going to make a run on their home court. They were 9-0 on their home court going into that game. They made that run in the second half, and a lot of times it's hard when you kind of lose that double-digit lead to get it back, but one thing that's been consistent throughout his career, Alec Wintering has hit big shots, and with about a minute left, down by 1, hits a step-back jumper, and that would be the lead for the rest of the way. Alec was obviously rewarded this week, but it just seems like every game he does something different. He's so efficient on offense, but you talk about rebounding, 7 rebounds in that ball game for Alec Wintering, and that was key.
It was tremendous. We talk about the need for us to gang rebound as a team, and Jarrell Marshall getting 12 rebounds, a nice bonus from Jarrell in terms of getting some boards. And but for Alec at the point guard spot to get 7 defensive rebounds and go in there and mix it up was really key. And I forgot one of our keys to the game was hold them to under 50% free throw shooting.
Your free throw defense was phenomenal.
Our free throw defense is top in the league right now, I think, and assistant coaches have been doing a really good job with that. I don't know what it is, but we've had some games where some breaks haven't gone our way, and this one, a couple win our way. And I think, as you like to think you made your own luck a little bit, and we made plays when we had to, and did just enough. So it was a good win to come away with.
Well, you said you wanted to force them to take some shots, and I thought the game plan was executed very well in the first half. The rebounding wasn't as bad in the first half. You were forcing them to take jumpers. They didn't get comfortable. And then you mentioned the free throw shooting. Both teams actually struggled a little bit. Portland, which is the number 1 team in the conference, almost 80%. The Pilots go just 10 for 18, so both teams kind of missing some opportunities. But Portland coming up at the end. Let's talk a little bit about that last minute in terms of, we've talked before about do you foul, do you not foul when you're up by 3. So I believe there's 6.6 seconds left, up by 3. Jarrell misses it. What was the conversation before he took those free throws in the hot timeout?
Well, we're fouling on the miss. So he misses it. We're going to foul. We should have fouled sooner. We should have, we didn't have both guys up on the line. We had the guard back. We should have had another guy up. There was a miscommunication on that, but you can foul. It's with 6 seconds. It's not that hard because you let a tick or two go, and then you can foul, and it's 4 seconds on the clock, or it's under 5, which is pretty straightforward. The Weber State game, which is the other one that happened this year, there was more time on the clock. It's a little more challenging, if I remember correctly, But Alec actually got a good poke at the ball and made a good play. I told the guys in the timeout, said they know we're going to foul. They're talking about us fouling because now it's become commonplace, and that's why the player, as he crossed half court, start to try to chuck it toward the basket to get 3 shots because they knew we were going to foul. The reason I'm having trouble fouling in those situations with this group is we're not a good rebounding team and the free throw rebounding team. And so then Davis barges Jarrell Marshall in the lane and just tips it out and tips it to half court. You want me to go over the whole painful minute, or you want me to just tell me when you want me to
just
stop?
The high points.
Is this part of my punishment? For making you guys sit through it and watch it, I got to recant the whole thing. No, but it's fair enough. Fair question. So the free throw block off in those situations. So in those situations, you foul. They've got it. You got to. The other consideration, you can't lose if you're a great rebounding team and great inbounding against pressure. Well, lo and behold, Alec's 5th foul. Yeah. So it's Alec's 5th foul. Your ball handler and your best guy getting open. We run an inbounds play. Gabe Taylor's playing the 5, and he doesn't go exactly where he's supposed to. But DeMarcus was open, and Jason threw it away from our basket, thinking DeMarcus would just go get it. DeMarcus later said he didn't think of the fact, and this is we didn't remind him, just touch it. I should have been yelling, just touch it, because
I think he was trying too late. But then give credit to Lamont Murray, he made a good play. And
his initial reaction when the pass is kind of leading him is just go touch it and go make him catch it. And DeMarcus hesitated, and that hesitation cost him, and he shielded him off. It was a great play. Painful slow motion to watch. Like, I wanted to go touch it.
4-bouncer.
Can a coach touch it? It was a 4-bouncer. Can a coach go touch it? Can I throw my phone at it, get my phone in my pocket and throw? So that was, and then on the 3-point attempt, they've got to get a 3, and you put the game in their hands where they got a shot to win it. So we're fortunate to get away with the win. But like I said, I felt like we did just enough, and in a lot of ways.
One question that I got a lot of, and I think I know the answer, but I want to hear the explanation from the referees to you. They didn't allow the substitutions. Is that because no time went off the clock?
Right. So there was no tick of the clock on that. So
even though there was a basketball play, you still can't make the substitution.
Yeah, and I should follow up and check on that,
because that seems a little odd to me. That
the ball was
in play.
But I guess it never technically was in play. By rule, it was never in play.
The clock never started.
It never. The referee never lowered his hand or clicked his clock. And to the scorekeeper's credit, you've got a guy helping out there working in the table, and to his credit. I didn't know that they had substitute Davis in there. And to his credit, and nor did the referee.
A.J. John versus Davis in that situation.
And although Davis hit 5 threes against Gonzaga on Saturday, he got going a little bit. But yeah, no, A.J. John. So they made the sub they wanted and sort of had talked about that. The problem with all this talking was I had a timeout to use, and I could have used it, but I didn't want them to make their substitutions, or I didn't want them to drop their play. So Jason Todd, who's our best inbounder now, he's our best inbounder, and he was kicking himself because he didn't call timeout on the out of bounds. We saved the out of bounds instead of calling it before the timeout. We saved it so Jason had it to call, and I trust Jason's judgment. I think he made a pretty good pass, and I think DeMarcus, had I reminded him and he'd known that he just got to touch it, then he would have made the right play and it would have been fine. But Jason was thinking he should have called timeout there when he had to lead him a little bit more than he wanted to. But we didn't want to use a timeout after that for them to make their subs. But like I'm saying, to the credit of the scorekeeper, he all of a sudden made Davis go back to the table too, and so
I'm sure the home bench loved that. Good home scorekeeper. Well, Portland pulls it out 73-70. That was a nationally televised game. Both games against Pepperdine this year on ESPNU, and two of the better performances by the Pilots to sweep the Waves. And then 2 days later, the sweep of LMU. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Look ahead to the Gonzaga game. If you got any questions for Coach Rev, use hashtag AskCoachRev on Twitter, or give us a call at 503-542-0910. We'll take our first break. You're listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
The Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Portland.
Jimmy Graham for the Seahawks. The reaction was universal there, right?
Yes, final piece.
How good is he going to be? How good are they going to be? And so now the reports are coming out that he hates his role.
Right.
That he hates his role in Seattle, that he's super excited, and now he's annoyed because he's got 62 yards on 10 targets and 7 catches.
Pretty predictable, right?
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays 7 to 10 a.m. on 910 ESPN Portland.
Find it online, buy it in store with Bi-Mart's cyber deals posted now on Bi-Mart.com. Every 2 weeks, we post discounts on the products you need to do everything that you do, saving you time in your busy schedule and dollars in your daily budget. That's what's most important to our employee owners. Check out our latest cyber deals today on Bi-Mart.com and start saving on your favorite everyday items. Get ready for your season for less at Bi-Mart.
U.S. Bank provides custom solutions to help you grow your business. Whether you've just started in a friend's apartment.
What do you mean there's no printer?
Or opened your first office.
We have a printer.
Or maybe you've opened a new location.
We have so many printers.
You'll have a business banker there to guide you every step of the way. Visit your local U.S. Bank branch or usbank.com/business. Credit products are subject to normal credit approval and program guidelines. Some restrictions and fees may apply. See your banker for details. Deposit products offered by U.S. Bank, National Association, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
When Les Schwab opened his first tire store back in 1952, he wasn't thinking about how to celebrate his company's 64th anniversary in 2016. It's not that he didn't believe in what he was doing, it's just that, well, he was probably too busy helping a customer. So for our Founders Celebration, there's no celebrity appearances, no fireworks shows, just our best tire value promise and some great deals on tires, custom wheels, and more. All February long at Les Schwab, doing the right thing since 1952.
You're listening to Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here's your host, Jason Bro.
Got a question for Coach Rev? Give us a call at 503-542-0910 or use hashtag AskCoachRev on Twitter. Portland coming off of a big road sweep over Pepperdine and LMU, the first time the Pilots have swept that duo since 2009. Very important as Portland climbing the WCC standings. And before we talk about the LMU game, which was just from start to finish, just a great offensive basketball game, entertaining.
I knew you'd like that.
I love it. What can you say? Fans love the offense. Adam Jacko is one of the most entertaining players in the West Coast Conference. It seems like he's putting up highlight reel dunks left and right, but the Lions had no answer for the Pilots. But there was a lot of UP alumni, fans, Board of Regents members in the crowd that night, and a lot of that was a function of on Friday in Pasadena having the opportunity to go to Alan Lund, chairman of the board's house, and it's become an annual routine for the team.
Alan Lund and his wife Kathy are very gracious to have us out to their house in Pasadena, and the guys look forward to it. We load the bus up after practice at LMU around 4 o'clock, and got to slug through some traffic a little bit as it is LA. But we get there, and it's a nice, very nice home, and they have this Mexican food caterer that is fantastic. And Alan asked me over the summer, when I saw him last at another function here on campus in the fall, probably maybe the Beauchamp Center it was probably. He asked, well, do you want something else besides that? You want to mix it up? And he loves the Mexican food and the caterer and stuff, and the guys love it. And so these quesadillas and the whole enchiladas and the food is delicious. And so the guys do that, and they go down and they play some pool and watch some TV and just hang out. And the Lunds are very gracious, making it informal that some college kids can get a nice meal at a home and just relax a little bit. And there's some good conversation. Kevin Cooper, another Board of Regent, could tell some good stories, and just a really nice environment. And it's actually nice because the Lund's grandkids have been coming the last few years, and
they all got their autographs.
Oh my gosh! And there's kids coming out.
Somebody asked me for an autograph. I said, I don't think you want my autograph.
It's becoming a family tradition, a Pilot family tradition with the Lunds, and it's just very nice. We sort of. I was talking to one of the grandkids. She's a freshman in high school now, and she's a swimmer. And just hearing about different stuff and talking to them. So it was a nice time. And so having that as a break, and then like you say, on Saturday we go out to LMU and they bring them all out to the game, and we saw a bunch of familiar faces, and our players have some of their family there. And yes, Pedro was there. It was very good to see Pedro there. And
well, that's a great segue because we got Pedro from Southern
California.
There
you go. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
Familiar faces we saw down there on the road trip. And Pedro, pretty good weekend for the Pilots, huh?
Good evening, Jason, Coach. I'm still trying to recover from all that excitement down here. I can't take much more of this. This is earth-shattering. But
as long as you didn't rush the court, I was worried about you.
I tried, but you know what? I respect the sanctity of the court at Pepperdine, and
I think
security guard that was smiling at me and telling me not to. So
sanctity of the court and security guard. I don't think so. I think you listened to your wife, which is a smart man.
That was a security guard.
She was pulling my shirt from behind.
Yes.
But from the first Thursday night's game, from the first possession of the game, Pepperdine had the ball. Pilots just had it in their faces. They were going to stop them from that point on, and they just played defense, and it just seemed like the offense came later. But the defense was just outstanding. The whole tone of it. Yeah, Terrell just impressed the heck out of me. He was just, every time I looked, that guy was above the rim doing something, either rebounding or taking a shot or going for a block. And the rotation, everything just worked perfectly well. And it was really a great game. The last 3 minutes of that game, honestly, in the years I've been following the Pilots now, that was the best sequence I've seen them play.
Yeah, as Jason was pointing out, we had to put together a nice lead, and and Pepperdine is a very senior veteran team, and Raines and Davis and gave us more than we could handle, and we got to get better handling some good quality posts like that. But we were able to hold them off. They came back, and like Jason was also pointing out, Alec Wintering was huge. He had a huge weekend, and guys made some plays, and Jarrell, boy, just a really good double-double with the 12 rebounds, 14 points, and did a nice job.
It was great. I just particularly loved is that the Pilots start the second half up by 10, go down by 5, and from that point on, they just refused to lose. They weren't going to lose that game, and they did everything. Again, the defensive side to stop the waves and just pulled it out. It was really a great thing to see. I think it's almost like they just willed it to win. It was just great to see.
Yeah, and that's something.
Unfortunately, after the game, I'm standing there minding my own business, wearing my purple Portland pullover, and I guess this woman, this nice lady, must have had a son on the team, but comes up to me and says I should have taken the referees with me to Loyola. I said, well, ma'am, you went 17 for 37 from the free throw line. I don't think it was us and the official that had anything to do with it. But she wasn't happy. She wasn't happy at all. And
that's why
Saturday,
that's why the security guard is keeping an eye on you.
And I was on the way out. I think she was the one that was going to drive me out of there. Saturday was great. The first half, forget that with the defense, but the second half, defense came alive, and a lot of rebounding, a lot of good passing. I love the trap you had going on off and on, and the zone, and I really liked how the coaching staff just threw different looks on defense at Loyola during the game. It was kind of like the Super Bowl yesterday. The Carolina never saw the same defense more than 2 or 3 times. So it was really a great day to see.
It was great to have you out there. I really appreciate it. And the guys did play hard. You're right. And then when we can put together some stops, to be honest, I think that's the thing that's been lacking in some of our games is, close games, the ability to get some stops and put them together.
That was a wonderful game to see. Real quickly, I just want to give you another bit of information. When my 2 amigos up there from Camas and Hood River, Ed and Larry and me are together on the road, I just want you to know that the Pilots, when we attend on the road, you're 3-0. So
wow.
I'd like you to go see Mr. Scott Lakem and get us on the traveling budget so we can accompany you on the rest of your road games and ensure victory.
There you go. I like it.
Well, make sure you're in Vegas for the WCC tournament, and we'll make a run there as well.
We will be there. Congrats on the wins, Coach. Yeah,
Thank
great.
you.
It was from a spectator point of view, they were great to see. It was wonderful. And Jason, I'm glad you didn't collapse during that Pepperdine game because it was getting pretty exciting.
It was. All right, Pedro. Thanks
Good night,
for the
you guys.
call,
Thank you.
and we will chat with you next time.
All right.
We'll take another break right now. It's you're listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
Mom, Dad, we need to talk. I know college will be expensive, but the Oregon College Savings Plan can help. Did you know you could save on your taxes while you save for my college?
Any earnings and qualified withdrawals are tax-free. You can even get a state tax deduction.
Sweet!
Are you saving for college? It helps if you have a plan. With the Oregon College Savings Plan, you can get an Oregon State income tax deduction of over $4,500 for 2015. Plus, when you use the money for qualified college expenses, any earnings are both state and federal tax-free. So for more information, go to OregonCollegeSavings.com.
Now, about my allowance.
The plan is administered by the state of Oregon. Consider the investment objectives, risks, and expenses before investing in the plan. Go to OregonCollegeSavings.com for a disclosure booklet and read it carefully. Investments in the plan are not guaranteed, and there is the risk of investment loss. Non-qualified withdrawals may be subject to taxes and penalties. State tax advantages subject to recapture provisions. Consult your tax advisor.
Think you know pro football?
What game are you most confident of winning?
In the Change Realty NFL Challenge, our fan hosts and the fan baby are ready to pick every game against each other. And you, the mighty fan listener.
What's that, mustache?
Want to play? Just go to 1080thefan.com and click on the NFL Challenge banner. The Change Realty NFL Challenge, presented by Change Realty, home of the 1% listing fee. Sign up now at 1080thefan.com.
Winner, chicken dinner!
Being there matters. And your United States Navy protects and defends America on the world's oceans. Around the globe, around the clock, Navy ships, submarines, aircraft, and, most importantly, tens of thousands of America's finest young men and women are ready to defend America when piracy threatens global commerce, when disaster strikes, or when called upon by the Commander-in-Chief. Your Navy is there. When it comes to protecting and defending America, being there matters. And America's Navy is already there.
You're listening to Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here again is Jason Bro.
Well, the Pilots coming off a sweep of the LA Schools, beating Pepperdine 73-70 last Thursday, and then following that up with a 92-78 win over the Loyola Marymount Lions at Gersten Pavilion on Saturday afternoon. And, Coach, let's shift our focus to Saturday, and again, facing another pretty good front line, Autumn Jacko, one of the best big men in the country, and he showed at 35.7 rebounds for him in that game. But the Lions didn't really have an answer for the Pilots' backcourt. What was kind of the game plan going into that? What do they present in terms of a challenge? Mike Dunlap, well-respected coach team.
Well, the three keys for us were, one, attack their pressure, two, limit their points in transition, just really execute our transition defense, and then three, that crowd favorite rebound,
Yeah.
And the attack pressure was one that worked perfectly. They made a basket, and then we just tried to run it right back at them, and we just pushed it, and we got a layup the first couple times. We attacked their pressure, and that kind of ended that for a while in terms of them having to really get their pressure set. We were very aggressive against their pressure, trying to make them pay. You know, one of our programs, I don't want to say it's our motto, but our approach to pressure is you don't want to just beat it. You don't want to just, not turn it over. You want to score. Every time someone presses, you want to try to score. So you push it up, and you don't want to turn the ball over. But you really the goal is to score, and they did that. We did that really well. Transition defense, not so well, especially the first half. Just first half we were just trading buckets, and they were very dynamic, and they're moving things around, and we're letting them get open shots, and we kept them off the boards. They weren't rebounding very much, so we did that one. But the transition defense wasn't great. So we turned it over a couple times. They got out and went, and it was just we tried to shore some of those things up, which we were able to in the second half. Jocko really got going on some plays, some broken plays, some different types of things, but we also just let him kind of beast us inside, and that's something where we got to do a better job, and we worked on it today, in fact, of the primary defender, the guy guarding him, forcing him out more, then being able to hold his ground with better position earlier and longer, and then get help from somewhere. But he was going so quickly to the rim on guys, really it was hard to get help, and so he's getting those and ones that just are infuriating and really just not very good. And we started limiting some of that in the second half. Fortunately, like you said, our backcourt really and Alec and the guys just really played well, shot the ball really well, and so that worked very well.
Jacko, it finished with 35, but in the Portland backcourt, as you mentioned, Alec Wintering, 29, 7 and 7, only takes 16 shots to get his 29 points. He's never really been known as a pure shooter, but you look down throughout his career, he's over 42%. He goes 5 for 9, and he just really kind of dominated that game. The big buzzer beater three-pointer at halftime tied the game, kind of gave you some momentum, and your point guard's playing about as well as anybody on the West Coast right now, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he's playing very well. The St. Mary's guards are good, and there's some different guys, but in terms of being important for a team, he's critical. And that play at the end of the half was just a headsy play where he pushed it and kept his dribble alive, and made a tough shot. He is shooting the ball really well. DeMarcus is shooting it great right now, and that's been really good. The fact that our offense had 26 assists on 33 made baskets is really good for us. They were sharing the ball, moving it, and we're pretty tough to stop when we're driving and kicking and moving and balls flying around. A lot of that had to do, you look at the play of Jarrell Marshall at the 4 spot some and gave it the 5 and moving things around. Jarrell with 5 assists at the 4 was really important for us, and also he had 4 block shots. Some of those were when he got beat and was bailing himself out, but still making plays like that is pretty key.
Yeah, his activity level this weekend was great. The offense started getting in a rhythm, and I know you don't like to be reliant on it, but it seems like sometimes once some shots start going down, it gets really contagious with this group, and the ball starts moving. You mentioned 26 assists, a season high, 15 3-pointers, one off the school record. You look back at LMU and all their great teams that ran up and down and shot the ball. That's the second most three-pointers ever made in that building. So this is a real dynamic offense once shots are dropping, and DeMarcus Tyson sliding into that starting role. Alec Wintering kind of providing that boost. Bryce hasn't even been shooting the ball that well from the perimeter throughout conference play, but that's a demoralizing offense to defend when shots are going down, isn't it?
Yeah, we can move the ball, and different guys can score. Ray was 3 for 3, just on some good ball movement, ball flying around, getting some layups and making some plays. And I think that balance offensively is just really, really important for us to continue to try to establish both the inside and outside. And but yeah, you're right. We start knocking down shots like that. We're tough to guard, and I think. That energy is that selfless sort of pass the ball around energy is contagious, and it bleeds over onto our defense where, we start digging in and getting some stops, and vice versa. I think right now, the next step for us maturing as a basketball team is to be able to let our defense fuel our offense a little bit, where we get some stops and maybe a team doesn't score 3, 4, 5 possessions in a row, and we can ride out maybe an offensive drought where we get some good looks so they don't go down, and then just turn it around that way. But we'll continue to work on that.
This is going to sound like a joke question, but I'll present it in a serious manner. Is there a bad shot for DeMarcus Tyson right now with the way he's shooting the ball? Because he takes some shots.
No, that first shot he made,
there's some that
was like, no, and then he's like, I don't know. I don't talk to him about it either because he's, it's just, he's shooting it well and he's making good choices. And sometimes he chooses not to shoot. I'm like, why didn't he shoot that? And then I'm like,
sometimes he chooses to shoot it.
Sometimes he chooses to shoot it, and they, like they say, the crazy makes him good maybe. I don't know, keeps guys guessing in clock situations and how he's feeling about it. But he's got to, he's really shooting it well, and he's continuing to defend, and, we're challenging him to rebound and do that stuff.
8 rebounds,
eight
season high against LMU.
Yeah,
so
8 rebounds, and just sort of challenge him to do that and be a complete player. When he does that, he doesn't turn it over. We used to joke about Clint Steindl. I remember him from St. Mary's. Yeah. He was setting records and not turning it over because he shot it all the time. DeMarcus is like that a little bit. He doesn't turn it over; he just shoots it. But he's taking good care of the ball. Sometimes he's just turning it and moving it. Teams are keying on him. They're flying at him. He got fouled on a 3-pointer. And so getting that on film will be interesting. Got some good, really tough teams coming in this week and next, and how they adjust to him, because people will try to adjust to that. But with Alec running the show and Bryce playing well, and it's just hard to figure what to do.
All right, if you got a question for Coach Rev, a few ways to get in touch with us. Visit portlandpilots.com/AskCoachRev to submit a question. Use hashtag AskCoachRev on Twitter, or give us a call at 503-542-0910. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll look at the WCC standings and preview the big game against Gonzaga here at the Child Center Thursday at 8 p.m. You're listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
Mike and Mike in the morning on ESPN Portland.
Tony Romo coming off of a year in which he had maybe his best season, coming into a year in which the Cowboys really looked like they had a chance to be a significant contender. Again, they lose Dez, and now they lose Romo. Just a disaster.
Brutal. The one thing you can say if you're a Cowboy fan and you want to continue to try and look at the glass half full,
your division stinks.
It's very difficult right now. Is your division stinks? That's exactly right.
Mike and Mike in the morning, weekdays 3 to 7 a.m. on 910 ESPN Portland.
What if there were a place where you could become your best self? To become not just what you want to be, but who you want to be. At University of Portland, we inspire innovators, entrepreneurs, leaders, difference makers, people with the smarts to succeed and the heart to know what success really means. University of Portland. Rise.
B-Dubs presents B-Dubbing.
This is it, folks. Everyone's on the edge of their
stools for Appy Hour at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Here's the snap. He drops back.
For great deals.
And throws.
A domestic draft.
Smith snags.
$4 shareables like street tacos and Southwest loaded chips.
What a throw. What a catch. What a...
Appy Hour.
Experience Appy Hour at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Participation and offers vary. See a participating location for details. Void where prohibited.
Think you know pro football?
What game are you most confident of winning?
In the Change Realty NFL Challenge, our fan hosts and the fan baby are ready to pick every game against each other. And you, the mighty fan listener.
What's up, Mustache?
Want to play? Just go to 1080thefan.com and click on the NFL Challenge banner. The Change Realty NFL Challenge, presented by Change Realty, home of the 1% listing fee. Sign up now at 1080thefan.com.
Winner, chicken dinner!
You're listening to Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here's your host, Jason Bro.
Back here at the Pilot House on the University of Portland campus, and it was an interesting week of WCC basketball, to say the least. Portland and Gonzaga go and handle LMU Pepperdine on the road. But out in Provo, Utah, some funny stuff happening. BYU beats St. Mary's in a pretty close game, a good win for BYU. Down in San Diego, that San Diego Toreros handle Pacific by 11 on Thursday. They switch opponents. Pacific goes up and beats BYU on the road. It's just kind of been one of those years in the WCC where you don't know what you're going to get one day to the next. But that's an impressive win for Coach Mike Burns on the road at Provo. That's a tough place to get a W.
No, it's a very tough place to get a W, and it's an impressive win, and he's got that group playing at a pretty high level, and they, it happens sometimes. They go to San Diego, and I haven't seen either games, the San Diego or the BYU game, and sometimes whatever happened in that game, so you don't play as well as you're capable, but they've got the pieces. They really got good pieces. They got a 4 or 5.
They got everyone back.
They got everyone back. They've got a good basketball team.
They're big guys. They're formidable. Eric Thompson's a formidable beast that wasn't there for 20 games.
Right, and so he's really a load, and you need that physicality against BYU, because BYU, as fast as they play, their bigs are physical, and their bigs can really. Pepperdine was doing some of that to us when they weren't shooting it well. They were shooting it and then bum rushing the rim, and they're just every rebound's a scrum, and you've got to dig in and fight. And I think Pacific has the pieces now to kind of match that. And athletically on the wing, if they're dialed in and focused, because BYU's coming at you, especially in that building when the crowd gets going, they're coming at you. You got to sort of batten down the hatches and just keep going and battle with them. It sounds like Pacific did a great job of that.
Yeah, Pacific, as we've talked about in previous shows, has pulled themselves out of postseason competition. So tough for those kids, but a credit to them and the staff for being able to respond. They're 5-7 in conference, have picked up some good wins.
I have a question for you on Pacific. Do we know when they're going to make a decision, or there's no timeline from it? We don't know.
We don't know yet. No.
So they don't know.
That's self-imposed is what they've done so far.
So the NCAA is going to come out with something.
Yep, at some point, but probably. I mean, it's been going on for almost a year now in terms of the NCAA type stuff. So who knows, as we've seen on a larger national scale, Louisville self-imposing some sanctions and led to some interesting press conference fodder from Rick Pitino about that and just how different programs handle it, trying to get out in front of it and prevent the hammer from coming down on the NCAA. How that impacts the WCC from a tournament perspective, Pacific being pulled out, the 8 and 9 teams will play against each other. 7 will get an automatic bye into the quarterfinals, so they will avoid playing the 10 team, number 10 seed in the play-in game. As we look down at the conference schedule, the conference standings, familiar at the top. Gonzaga 11-2 snuck their way back up there. St. Mary's 10-2, BYU 8-4 as they've separated from Pepperdine, who was swept this weekend 7-6. San Francisco in 5th place at 6-6. Pacific 5-7. The Pilots alone in 7th at 5-8. Santa Clara, San Diego, LMU behind Portland. So some opportunities to continue to climb up the standings late, and it starts on Thursday with a tough one in Gonzaga. And before we talk about this game against Gonzaga, let's go back to Spokane. It seemed like a long time ago, but what do you remember from that game that you can learn and take into this game this week?
It's not ideal that Sabonis and Wiltshire score 60. And we took away some other guys' stuff and everything, and so I think hopefully we learn some things that we can improve upon. And one, again, that post defense, just the high percentage stuff, the number of free throws Sabonis got, just fouling people, when they don't, just giving away we got to take away the high percentage stuff, and we're not pursuing defensive team of the year at this point, being realistically where we are with our young guys, and Jazz is really progressing. Colin Russell, some of our big guys, our sophomores, are progressing in terms of defensive intensity and understanding, but we've got to figure out a way to really limit their high percentage stuff. I mean, Wiltshire open threes just isn't going to do it. We're not looking for great defense. You guys got to go with our offense and our ability. If you look at the KenPom stats, we're 4th in the league in offense, 9th in defense. And so we've got to dig in and be able to get some stops and move up a little bit there. And the guys are buying in. I think we're getting better. With Alec playing a lot of minutes and Bryce playing some minutes, I think other people have to step up, and I think they've done that. And so looking back at the tape, that's what I saw. It's just stuff that's correctable. They're going to do some things that you're going to have to say hats off to them, but some of the stuff where you double an on ball and there's no rotation and Wiltshire gets an open three, we've got to shore that up. And it's unfortunate that it's February and we're still trying to sort it out. but then I remind myself of the youth of the team and the progress we're making in some of that stuff, and so we're getting there.
Yeah, and some of that youth that's really starting to shine through. Gabe Taylor maybe had a little midseason low sophomore slump, but he's really bounced back, had a great weekend. Maybe statistically not doing service to what he provided, but I thought he battled sometimes against very bigger, more experienced senior post players at Pepperdine, was going against Jacko, who we've talked about. He's just a big physical presence, and Gabe stuck his nose in there at both ends of the court and caused problems for both those teams.
Yeah, no, he's done a nice job, and he's kind of a tweener for us on both ends of the floor. He's 4'5", 5'4", and he can give us some versatility. And offensively, playing him at the 5 sometimes gives us. We don't do much different for him. But he's able to capitalize on some of our good floor spacing and get some high percentage looks off some drop offs and some things. So he's doing a very good job, and I just think that everything we're doing. On the defensive end is getting better. We've tried to clean up and simplify a few things to make it even more clear on what we're doing. And what's exciting for me is the team is really dialed in. We had a great workout today. We're not in the grind of February or something. They recognize that we're making a push here, and we're poised to make a good push and to put our best basketball really in front of us and with the two best offensive teams, clearly the two best offensive teams in the league coming in to our building, now's the time to play our best defense and get out and run and let our offense take care of itself, but we've got to defend starting Thursday against Gonzaga.
Well, it'll be a challenge as the next two opponents, the top two in the conference, as you mentioned, Gonzaga this Thursday, St. Mary's the following Thursday, but as we look at the conference record, 3-2 against teams that are in the top 4 of the WCC for the Pilots. So the Portland capable of going into these games feeling confident, pulling out a win. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll talk about the assistant coaches, their roles, how they prepare scouting reports, and then take one last look ahead to the Gonzaga game on Thursday. You're listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
Providence Wellness Watch from Providence Heart and Vascular Institute on PlaySmart heart screenings for young people.
Most kids' hearts are healthy, thank goodness, but a small number of kids will have hidden heart defects that you wouldn't know about unless you did testing. PlaySmart is a free screening program for kids ages 12 through 18. We perform a blood pressure measurement, an electrocardiogram. It takes less than 10 minutes, painless, non-invasive, and it gives cardiologists a lot of information so that we can assess risk. Hidden heart defects are not common, but we want to know about them. All kids can be at risk, and therefore we want to give all kids the opportunity to have a free screening. We want our kids to stay active throughout the school year and throughout the summer, so now's a great time to get screened and to learn more about your heart.
To learn more about Providence Heart and Vascular Institute's PlaySmart screenings for kids ages 12 to 18, visit playsmartgetscreened.org.
The Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Portland.
When's the last time Mike McCarthy?
We're going to talk. We're a pretty big football game.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning are playing each other. What do you want me to ask you? You got the best quarterback ever. No, look, McCarthy. Yeah, you got the best quarterback ever.
What about the rest of the team?
Yeah. Who cares?
Okay. How's the weather in Miami?
Coach, 1 to 10, how much did you enjoy this? 10 being the highest.
Well, I mean, it's just it has to be a 10 because I can only handle this once a year.
I know. Would you prefer this or the normal weekly media scrum where you go in there and say you're coaching gibberish, cliche stuff, and you're not even listening to yourself because it's so boring?
Well, I actually got to get off the phone and go do that gibberish thing here in about 2 minutes. So this is definitely a lot more fun than I'm getting ready to have. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, weekly. All right.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays 7 to 10 a.m. on 910 ESPN Portland. You're listening to Portland Pilots basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here again is Jason Bro.
Not just a good weekend for the Pilots men's basketball team, some other sports also with some good results. The women's basketball team picked up their first win over Pepperdine on Thursday. Men's tennis with a couple of sweeps this weekend as well. Women's tennis off to Boston to face a few nationally ranked teams this weekend. So sports going strong. Baseball started their scrimmaging. A lot of activity on the Bluff. here on the University of Portland campus. One player that's been a great 4-year player for you, Bryce Presley, approaching one of those milestones that we talked about. Alec, a couple weeks ago, scored his 1,000th point. Bryce just 12 points shy. Just talk about what he's brought to this program. Just a great ambassador for the program.
Bryce is great. He's been a big contributor statistically and in the locker room and in every way all 4 years. And he's kind of a Swiss Army knife of a player. He just kind of does everything. He's one of those players that I need to ask myself sometimes, am I putting him in the right position for him to be the biggest contributor possible? Because I'll move him around based on making other guys' job easier, and maybe underutilizing him sometime. Not as much this year, but over his career, just because even at a young age, freshman, sophomore, I'd have him do stuff to just sort of, whether it was defensively or offensively, changing spots. And when he was a backup point guard, and he's playing backup point, he's doing, he's playing the 3 and maybe even some 4 and going small, and put him in plays where maybe he hadn't drilled it enough and just sort of said, we got a problem. Okay, let's put Bryce there, and he's just been great that way. He likes that. He's really a team guy in terms of, just not worried about himself, just wants to contribute. He wants to be successful. He wants us to be successful. He's all about the team. And this year, as a young man, he's really embraced trying to be a better leader. I really appreciate both him and Alec in terms of, the idea that like we could all get better as leaders and as individuals and leading the team. And he's learned it, he's worked at it. He's tried, and we've talked about it. He's just done a great job. So he's very much a key part of all the success we've had. How many points is he off the 1,000?
12 points.
12 points. So. That'd be good to get Thursday. Knock that out.
Yeah, and
first half would be good too.
How about it?
I don't want to get
first
greedy.
10 minutes.
I don't want
first
to
10
get
minutes,
greedy.
about 4 threes.
Yeah, just run a few things for him, get it going.
Talking with his dad, and his dad's done some media interviews about Bryce, and not one of those helicopter parents. Just a great family that he comes from, and I thought it was interesting. Bryce says he wants to go play professionally. He's going to go do that. So many of your players have gone over and had success in Europe, and where do you think he maybe stands at that next level in terms of opportunities?
It's always so tough to predict, and as a guard and stuff. I think he's one of those guys that if he sticks with it, because, like Nick Ravio's doing well. And just
really well. Yeah.
And those guys that, TJ, of course, is doing well. Luke's doing well. You get over there. Your first year is about just kind of getting through and getting used to it and getting a good spot and getting good experience and building that resume. But he's going to keep getting better. I mean, I could see him, and I tell all these guys that have gone on to play professionally when they graduate, I go, I got a little secret for you. If you keep working at your game and you get yourself in okay situations and keep working at it, you're going to be better at 3 years, 4 years from now when you're 27, 28 than you are now. Because they all kind of graduate. It's funny. They think they're kind of peaking and now it's time. But they'll keep working at it. I can see Bryce clearly as one of those. He works at his game. His dad, like you say, is a great supporter. I love his dad. At least everything I can tell, his dad's just very positive, very supportive. Wants him to relax, have fun, enjoy it. I mean, he seems to be almost always saying, hey, I really enjoy watching you play. Just sort of like the role of that. And I'm sure there's more to the conversations with his dad's experience and whatnot. But it just that sort of positive kind of relax and just have fun. Because I think as a former player, his dad appreciates what a great time this is in his life. I think our guys sometimes, that's why I like having alumni speak to them. Our guys sometimes, they're busy with classes, this and that, and they stop and smell the roses is hard to do when you're 20, 21,
Yeah. Shifting gears a little bit, we've talked a lot about, the basketball staff and how important that is. You've been a part of some very good basketball staffs. You seem to have a very good dynamic with your assistants this year. What's it like for fans that maybe haven't been a part of college basketball or played college basketball, and in terms of the distribution of duties, how it goes about it, who does what on your staff?
I think the biggest – a common misconception is that the duties are very divided, like a football staff, who's got offense, who's got defense. Scouting reports are divided sort of in thirds, preseason schedule. The second time around you'll have it. And what that entails is basically really getting to know that opponent, doing a presentation to the team the day before the game, doing the presentation the day of the game, walking them through their actions, leading that. Coach Pfaff has Gonzaga. He was sort of leading the discussion on Gonzaga today, making sure we're answering the right questions and doing the right things. I ask a lot of questions, sort of what about this, what about that, and we sort of paring down the list. They're very good at generating a list of things that we need to possibly work on. So the scouting reports are divided. Recruiting, we're sort of divided by territories a little bit. Coach Pfaff has California and junior college. Coach Jackson has Oregon, Portland, and we've done very well there, and that's been great lately. And just sort of each class, we're getting a good marquee player out of Portland the last couple of years, and or going forward now too. And then international, he has that as well. Coach Johnson, his first year, has Seattle, which is, he's a native son of and a celebrity up there, and he does very well up there, and Canada and some prep school stuff. And so just constantly, working on that. From a personality standpoint, they start gravitating toward more specific duties. Coach Jackson tends to get excited and fired up and passionate about the defense, and he's working with the post. Coach Johnson has been working with the guards a little bit more, but Coach Pfaff does that. Coach Pfaff does the shooting. Eric Spolstra sent out, helped us get in touch with the shooting specialist that Coach Pfaff has been working with to sort of help consult us and working with our guys. And so different stuff like that. Coach Johnson, we were just leaving the office before coming over here, and he's talking about me going to lunch with some of the guys and talking to them about see how they're doing and stuff. So every guy sort of fills in. It's a really small office team environment. And I think you got to throw in, the rest of the staff in that too, with Kramer Knudsen just sort of being a tremendous addition as director of operations, a glue guy of all glue guys, holding us together figuratively and literally.
Managing those bus drivers on the road.
Man, that is no joke. Food, meals, everything, and then also just understanding the players and talking to them, having been in the situations and whatnot. Tim Grass, video coordinator, and taking care of all the details and stats and video. And Rich Bennett in the training room, and then Brad Scott. Brad Scott, I always say, is a really important piece to our training room. The guys lifted today; they're still lifting occasionally, once or twice a week this time of year, and he does an excellent job. We're very, very fortunate to have Brad and sort of really, and he does the thing. So we've got a good team, and practices are open if anyone ever wants to come out and see the guys get after it. It's fun, and it's a fun group to work with.
Mitch, the newest member of the staff, and how familiar are you? Obviously, I think you coached him 1 year at Stanford, yes. Correct? And so you knew him when he was a young 18-year-old kid. He seems to have a bright future in this. He kind of has the mentality for it. He seems like a good teacher. How is he, in his first year making that transition from to Division I basketball as a coach? How do you evaluate how he's done?
He's done great. He's got very high basketball IQ, playing, sort of being a Pac-12 level point guard. He's got a great feel for the game. Having coached at some elite level AAU program level guys, been around that level player. Good basketball IQ. He's got good people skills. He's one of those guys that has very good range. He relates to people well. And so I think he's got a very bright future. I think one of the things that as a program that we've talked about is just our guys are under a lot of demands and stress, and we're coaching them, and it's not always about the X's and O's, but it's about the building the relationships and relating to players and getting to know them and building trust. And I think he's a very good conduit of that. He's sort of a bridge. I'm not getting younger, and
that gap's getting a little bigger.
I think I'm getting hipper and cooler as far as I know. I really do. Don't tell me otherwise. My wife says I am, so
must be true.
To heck with you, but yeah. But like that having that sort of that youthful energy that is more apt to know the TV show or the music, or they guys just kind of relate to more. I think is good, and Coach Pfaff and Coach Jackson are good at that as well. So I think that element of just being good mentors for the players, because they're under a lot of stress. Stress seems like a bad word because it's a great deal being a college basketball player, but they've got a lot going on. It's good to be able to sort of make sure we're supporting them the best we can.
All right, we'll take our last break. Take one more look ahead to Gonzaga on Thursday. You're listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
Bi-Mart knows the importance of value and savings. We know that hard-working families deserve to save on the things they need. To help, our employee owners bring you Owner's Choice pricing. We've marked down the things you use around the house, the things you need to pack lunches, the things you need for your pets. And we do it so you save when you shop at Bi-Mart. Get ready for your season for less at Bi-Mart.
What if there were a place where you could become your best self? To become not just what you want to be, but who you want to be. At University of Portland, we inspire innovators, entrepreneurs, leaders, difference makers, people with the smarts to succeed and the heart to know what success really means. University of Portland. Rise.
When Les Schwab opened his first tire store back in 1952, he wasn't thinking about how to celebrate his company's 64th anniversary in 2016. It's not that he didn't believe in what he was doing, it's just that, well, he was probably too busy helping a customer. So for our Founders Celebration, there's no celebrity appearances, no fireworks shows, just our best tire value promise, and some great deals on tires, custom wheels, and more. All February long at Les Schwab, doing the right thing since 1952.
Honey, why does the doorbell ring when I turn on the kitchen lights?
I rewired that. It should work now.
No, it doesn't.
Don't rely on short-term fixes that need long-term solutions. A U.S. Bank home equity line of credit may help turn the equity in your home into lasting improvements. Visit a U.S. Bank branch, usbank.com/dreambig, or call 800-209-BANK.
Home, sweet, normal home.
Some restrictions may apply, subject to credit approval. Mortgage and home equity products offered through U.S. Bank, National Association, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
You're listening to Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveneau on 910 ESPN Portland. Here's your host, Jason Bro.
Well, if you don't have tickets for Thursday's Gonzaga game here at the Chiles Center, you're out of luck, but luckily it is available on national TV, ESPNU, 8 p.m. tip-off. The few tickets that are still available are being held for students. I believe almost over 900 have picked up tickets in advance already, 3 days in advance, so there'll be a few more opportunities for students to pick up those tickets and jam them like sardines in sections 1 and 2 of the student section. Good energy around it, and you know, this team has done well against some of the best teams in the conference, and another great opportunity on Thursday to knock another one off.
Exactly right. I think that energy from the students is where it starts a lot of times. You know, just that energy, just to get after it and just play and have some fun and play hard, have fun. It's kind of our motto come game time, and the students really help, and I hope they enjoy it. And I think our team relishes that underdog mindset. I think they like being sort of the one that's not expected to win, and that's something that we've got to get better at, being expected to win and taking care of business. But that's not going to be the issue the next two games. You know, Gonzaga is a very good basketball team. They've adjusted to losing Shimmy Karnowski, and they've adjusted to losing him. Sabonis and Wiltshire, as we found out, are very tough, and we've got to defend and minimize and make other guys make plays, and then we've got to find a way to score. They're one of the teams that, with their athleticism and length, can bother us scoring the wise. We can't take that end of the floor for granted at all. And so it's a tough game for us, and then we got St. Mary's and stuff. So right now, the team's kind of relishing the chance to try to mix things up, and now's the time when we talked about today. Now's the time when you want these opportunities to sort of better your resume, better your prove and challenge yourself to play better basketball coming down the stretch before the WCC tournament.
Well, we talked a little bit after the BYU game and how, you know, every game is important, obviously, but a game like that, a game like this, kind of allows you to establish your brand to a certain level. And this happened a couple years ago, beating BYU at home, beating Gonzaga at home, beating BYU a couple games ago. Higher profile games, more eyes on it, and I would say Gonzaga always has that no matter where they go. But even in this market in Portland, you know, Kyle Wiltshire, a Portland kid, Silas Melson, a Portland kid, Sabonis with his dad who played here, so many eyes go to that game, and it really creates an opportunity, doesn't it, for the Portland Pilots?
Yeah, no, and I don't think I was in denial about it before we beat Gonzaga at home, but, you know, as a coach, you sort of, every game's important, win one, you know, next game's the most important game, blah, blah, blah. But the reality was, you saw it firsthand when we beat, you know, that more people see it, and, you know, and the students like it, you know. and everyone around campus enjoys it a little bit. And so, and the players, it's exciting for the players, and so it's something that and that's why you give Gonzaga credit for what they do, because they do get everyone's best shot. They go into packed buildings all the time on the road. And compete against that, and they're very good at it. And so a lot of credit to them, but it is a big opportunity.
Well, no tickets available, but what's the pitch for people watching at home? It's going to be two of the highest scoring teams in the conference.
My pitch is to come try to sneak in. I want to pack the thing. If the fire marshal's not here,
put the pressure on the ticket sellers.
Just come out here and students get
come to the Pilot House. If you can't get in, come over here and watch
to the Pilot House. The sell, if you're watching on TV, is that it's going to be we're a fast-paced team, going to compete, we're going to get out and run, and they're not going to try to slow us down. They're going to try to run as well. We do play faster than they do normally, and they're going to try to speed up and play with us, and we're going to try to get out and go.
Should be a lot of fun. The Pilots host Gonzaga here at the Chiles Center. Sold-out game Thursday at 8 p.m., the only game this week. If you can't make it out, don't have tickets, be sure to tune in to ESPNU. Radio coverage starts at 7:30. Right here on 910 ESPN Portland. Coach Reveno, thanks. Good luck this week. Jesse Osmond in studio, thanks for all the work you do. Jason Bro signing off from the Pilot House. You've been listening to the Portland Pilots Coaches Show on 910 ESPN Portland.
This has been Portland Pilots Basketball with Coach Eric Reveno. Tonight's show was brought to you by employee-owned Bi-Mart, by your local Les Schwab Tire Center, the Oregon College Savings Plan, by Buffalo Wild Wings, U.S. Bank, by Safeway, and by PlaySmart Health Screenings from Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. Join us for University of Portland basketball all season long on the home of the Pilots, 910 ESPN Portland. 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 910 ESPN